Welcome to Improv Noob, everybody. This is the podcast where we talk to improvisers about how they learned to improvise. I'm Jason Frankovitz, and today's incredible guest is Jay Sukow. Jay has been improvising for about 28 years. He trained with the greats, Stephen Colbert, Steve Carell, Dave Razowsky, Keith Johnstone, and Del Close, legends all. He was artistic director in Denmark during his residency at an improv theater called Improv Comedy Copenhagen. And he has his own improv company called Today Improv at todayimprov.com. And he teaches and performs all over the world. So welcome, Jay. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, Jason, thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited.
You are not as excited as I am, because I am stoked to hear what you are going to tell us today. So the way we do the podcast is I bring on improvisers. Some are very experienced, very senior people like you, and some will be just complete beginners, and everyone in between. And what we're interested in finding out is, when you were starting out and you were new to improvising, you probably had a class or a scene or saw a show where you got it, or there was a particular lesson that your teachers had been trying to teach you, and suddenly you saw it and you were like, oh, I get it. I understand this thing about improv because now I just saw that, or now I just did that, or now I just made that move. And so I wanted to find out from you, what's your I learned this in improv story?
Well, what's interesting is, you think about those moments that have impact on you. And when you ask this question, one thing comes to mind really quickly more than anything else. And, improv teachers are known for throwing out these phrases that you go, okay, but you don't always understand, but then you might repeat them, but you don't quite get it. And one of the phrases early on that I was taught was play to the height of your intelligence, play to the height of your intelligence. And that kind of resonated with me, but the time I remember it really hitting home was playing the improv game Party Quirks. And it's an improv guessing game. Somebody leaves the room, and then you get from the audience different personality traits or things. And then you have to get that guesser to guess what it is without saying it. You have to demonstrate those traits. And you ask for a pet peeve as one of the traits. And a lot of times you'll get something like, picking your nose, which came up in this one show. And it was given to my friend, Ed Brown. Now, Ed he was a 6-foot merchant marine, ponytail, beard, big guy. And so when he came in for the game, picking his nose, he goes, oh, I've got the new issue of Cosmopolitan magazine. Let me look. Oh, do I want this one or this one? And it blew my mind because he took picking his nose to the height of his intelligence and made it selecting his nose. And I remember afterwards saying, wow, we can take the audience's suggestion no matter what it is, and we have a choice of what we want to do with it. And the fun part is, how can I make a suggestion like picking my nose, not going right to, what we first think of with it, but he took it to that next level to mean selecting the nose. And I'll never forget that. That blew me away. And that made me think, wow, we have a choice of what we can do with these suggestions, and we should be playing to the top of our intelligence. And it's a fun challenge, is how do we make a suggestion not that could go down the path of being blue or dirty? How can we make it not?
That's great. You just telling the story, I felt the turn during you explaining it, because I'm thinking like, oh, he's holding this magazine and he's like flipping the pages. Is he flipping the pages with like nose slime on the pages, and that's the joke? No. The joke is he was analyzing the words of the suggestion in a level of detail that most people would probably just breeze by. And
you heard a wave of you heard the audience catch up to it, because they were thinking one thing, but he made that choice to change and surprise, and it was such a smart move. And it taught me, like, we don't have to go for that low-hanging fruit. We are trained to do this, and it's up to us on what we want to do with that suggestion. The easy choice to me, or like sometimes a lazy choice, is to go right to like, oh, okay, cool, it's the no slime thing. But to take the suggestion and instantly be able to calculate, I'm going to make it selecting rather than actual picking. I'll make it selecting. That feeling of the audience, it's a wave. And I think that's such a strong way to play it, is, oh, it's that. Okay. And they're all on, the whole audience was on board. I don't think anybody in that theater, except for Ed, thought to make it that. I don't think a single person was like, oh, I'm sure he's going to do selecting instead of picking. But he made that choice, and it was just brilliant. And I'll never, that was 1992. So
wow.
That I'll never forget that move. And that was, almost, 28 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it had such an impact on me and we were in a group where we challenged each other to play smart. Like, we can be smarter, we can do it better, we can do it so it's not that low hanging fruit. We can bypass that. And that was one lesson that's to this day sticks with me, of like, let's use our intelligence. Let's play these elements as best as we can. Let's be smart in our choices.
That's so powerful. And you're right. That is one of those things that my teachers repeated again and again and again. And I think what I took away from it was, oh, I should use that advice, play to the top of your intelligence. And I should use that to like go super technical and super detail, and almost
reference
to kind of show off, like, oh, look at the big brain on me. But one of the things that's so great about you telling the story is that this isn't even, it's not a story about you. It's about someone you saw who was so inspiring to you and made this move that just stuck to you like glue for literally decades.
Yeah. And you're right. Like, I think when you hear play to the height of your intelligence, people sometimes think my reference level, and let me at the expense sometimes of my scene partner out reference them. And it's not about that as much to me. However, in a scene, if it's like, I remember a scene where somebody in one of my classes, the suggestion was lawyer, and they played a scene as somebody not knowing what a lawyer does. And then it's the funny thing is they were a lawyer. So it's like, just be a lawyer. Like, you're making it, again, that to me is not playing as smart as you can, because you're making it a lot harder on yourself. It's like, if you're a lawyer, then do things in a scene a lawyer would do. Be competent in that situation. And it's not about, I know all of these, ha ha ha, I'm so smart, I know all of these Star Wars characters that my scene partner doesn't know. Another example of this is, I remember in a scene, the suggestion was Disney, it was panel of experts, and the suggestion was like Disney princesses. And again, a guy who was, he was a big dude. This guy was like 300 pounds, 6'2", big guy. And the game is, you're giving an area of expertise, and you answer questions through that filter. So he was given Disney princess, which on the outset was funny because it looked like he wouldn't know anything about that. But then he had a daughter. So every time the question came to him, he was singing a Disney song, and it killed. And that was another example of, if you know that stuff, play to the height of your intelligence. Like, hit it out of the park at that situation. But it's not a competition of showing off what we know about things. It's just play to the height of your intelligence.
Yeah. And it's not about, I think something that I used to do would be to just make it complex mistaking complexity for being smart.
Yeah.
And it's not about that. Like, it takes sophistication to take something simple and be interesting with it, as opposed to just complicated with it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that phrase is great. It's like, take something simple and then be interested, and it becomes interesting rather than complicated. On the flip side too, Jason, you've been in scenes with people who can stay at that speed. So like, if you find you're in a scene with someone that can hang with you, that's the time it's like, yeah, man, absolutely go for it in that moment. Like if somebody knows that same reference as you do, great, then go off on that. But you know, it's not being ashamed of your intellect and picking those moments and scenes to be like, I'm going to do this to the best of my ability. I'm going to play the scene as smart as I can. The audience can give us whatever they want. If you come and you ask for a suggestion of anything at all, don't get mad at the audience for giving you anything at all. Like, but you can take that thing and choose to make it smart and elevate it, and take the picking your nose to elevate to the point of selecting your nose, right? Like, that's the power we have. If you are getting tired of certain types of suggestions from the audience, then ask for a different suggestion. But don't get mad when they give you a suggestion when you ask for it. Again, it's like, if you keep getting a suggestion of pineapple, then keep playing different shows revolving around that. Like, that's the fun. It's a challenge. The audience gives you a suggestion. They are challenging us to come up with something fun about it. So keep delving into it, but use that intellect. Don't play down. Don't do, you know, I tell students when they're about to go on and do a show for the first time or the fourth time or whatever, I said, you've worked so hard in class, so let's not revert back to things you would have done before coming into an improv class. Use the skills right now, and then let's demonstrate it.
I love it. I love it. Super great. Jay, this has been a great story. Thank you so much for sharing this and for taking the time to talk to me. This is Jason Frankovitz, and with me has been my guest, Jay Sukow, and this has been Improv Noob. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.